2020 was a crazy year for everyone with the coronavirus and everything that has happened. But I think what was even crazier was the 2020 election. Due to the pandemic, we saw a lot more people voting this year in 2020 because a lot of people were able to mail in their votes instead of going to a voting toll and doing it in person. But there was a lot of questions on both sides whether mailing in a lot of these votes would be true, like if they would be fraud or not. And Trump ended up losing the election, and that was the big role play in the 2020 election. He said that all the mail-in ballots, they were all fake and fraud, and it rose a lot of questions around the country about whether or not this election was fair. Trump, he just could not accept defeat, and he made states recount the votes, and he kept making them do it, and that's what led to the Capitol riot, which was definitely a down moment in our country's history. But sooner or later, Joe Biden did end up going into office. He was inaugurated on January 20th, but I don't really think it was that good of a transition of power. Now that we are about 4 months into Joe Biden's presidency, we have seen a lot over the last couple of months. The first topic of discussion that I'd definitely like to talk about is the Biden administration's handling of the coronavirus. So before Biden took office, we were on the path to having the vaccines ready and ready to be distributed throughout the nation. But when Biden came in around March, that's when the vaccines started to get distributed a lot. Teachers started to get it. That was around early March. And now in March, obviously, there's about 80 million vaccines that were distributed throughout the country. And to date now, kids our age, around 17, 18, can get the vaccines. Now that people even younger than me are allowed to get the vaccine, that just shows that we've taken great strides into finally squashing this pandemic and finally trying to get back to the normal life that we once knew. And I think that the Biden administration's handling of this coronavirus has been very good, and distributing the vaccines everywhere has been very good. Another topic of discussion that I would like to discuss would definitely be United States relations with North Korea. As of right now, they're not too good. Back in March, North Korea's message to Biden was to refrain from causing a stink. And this was caused by the U.S. collaborating with South Korea and following through at military drills. And North Korea they didn't really like that. And they basically told Biden that he should stop doing that. They're going to have some bigger issues to deal with in the next 4 years. So as we all know, for years now, the United States has tried to denuclearize North Korea, or tried to take steps towards that path. And the deal with North Korea is that they want the United States to lift sanctions and end their military drills around the peninsula in order for them to take steps towards denuclearization. And the Biden administration has tried to reach North Korea, but there has been no response because of the military drills that they are running with South Korea, which North Korea is not happy with. But I definitely feel that the Biden administration should try to talk to North Korea and taking further steps into denuclearization. So one of the last topics I'd like to discuss that we've seen a lot of in the news is Biden definitely wants to withdraw all U.S. military troops from Afghanistan by September 11, 2021, the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, which I think is very good. This is good because the U.S. has been at war in Afghanistan and the Middle East for over 20 years now, and it's costed 2,400 American lives, and it has costed the country $2 trillion, which is a lot of money for a war that cannot be won. Now, this does come up with a little bit of a hiccup because while Trump was in office, he made an agreement with Taliban that if the U.S. got all of their troops out of Afghanistan by May 1st, 2021, the Taliban would stop causing problems. But President Biden, he cannot withdraw all the troops, and follow through with that. But it's good that he's trying to get them home. But as a result, Taliban spokesman did come out and say that they were not going to agree with the delay after May 1st. Now, this is a little scary because, I don't know, even the country, everyone doesn't really know what they're going to do now because the Taliban isn't cooperating. But I feel that the Biden administration should definitely have more negotiations with the Taliban before actually withdrawing all the troops. The last topic that I'd like to discuss definitely be the border crisis. as of right now, there's just an influx amount of people coming in through the border, and border officials have come out and said that they're very overwhelmed, and they cannot test these people, these migrants, for coronavirus or anything like that, and the facilities are coming cramped, and they're very overwhelmed down at the border. And each month, more and more people are starting to come through. Gangs, drugs, and sex trafficking are also coming through the border. And in February 2021, it stated that the Mexico border traffickers earn about $14 million a day trafficking families, women, and children. I just wish that the Biden administration would acknowledge that there's a problem at the border, and I feel that members of the Biden administration, including himself, should go down to the border and see what's going on and definitely try to come up with solutions to the problem. In conclusion, overall, I mean, with the coronavirus, I feel that the Biden administration has had success, but with foreign relations, including like North Korea, I feel like there needs to be more negotiations. Negotiations with the Taliban, whether or not they're going to accept the deal that Biden's giving them, needs to be negotiated more, talked through. The down at the border, the Biden administration needs to recognize that there's a crisis going on, and they need to take further steps into helping the border officials out and building new facilities and getting these people in and getting them tested for coronavirus to keep the country safe. But I definitely feel like there needs to be more steps taken on foreign policy and domestic with our country on the border.